Hello, my name's Tony and we're at the Gason factory to have a look at the 9 and 12 tonne spreader that's just been released, and we'll be looking at its operational components and the settings required to spread urea to 36 metres. When changing from spreading pelletised fertiliser to more coarse fertilisers such as lime and gypsum, you'll need to remove the centre V, the widespread centre V. This can be done fairly easily by undoing the knob on the top. If the knob is stuck at all, you can actually use the supplied spanner, just fit on the top, remove the tension, undo the knob, and you'll need to actually hold the bottom fastener underneath the centre V, which I'll show in a second. Remove the knob, and you'll see the retaining device that was underneath. Make sure you don't lose those two. And then by lifting the centre V up and moving it rearwards, placing one side of the widespread centre V into the hole of where the spinners are, and then removing it off the saddle and over the back of the machine. You'll actually now see that we have the standard general purpose centre V in place, which will ensure that gypsum and lime end up in the right spot on the spinner discs. At the moment we have the widespread pelletised fertiliser spinner discs in place, but these would also be removed and replaced with the general purpose spinners. When setting the machine up to spread urea to 36 metres, there will be some simple adjustments required on the spreader. Obviously you'd need the widespread spinners to be fitted, and if we're looking now at the front feed-in panel, you'll see there's some markings on the panel. To ensure the panel is as low as possible, you want to make sure that the zero marker is level with the target on the side there. If we actually zoom down now and have a look at the bottom of this stainless steel panel, you'll see another series of markings, and we'll need to make sure that the side panel that's adjustable and it's attached to the centre V, the widespread centre V, is adjusted all the way down to the 35mm mark. That will mean that we'll have the correct adjustment and correct placement of product as it hits the spinners to ensure we get the 36 metre spread width. Another adjustment to check is to make sure that the backboard, the Boomerang backboard, is actually set far enough back to leave a large enough opening for the urea to fall into the spinner. It should be actually set to the 15mm mark at this pointed part. Finally, it's to ensure that the backslide is pushed all the way down on the Boomerang so it closes off the gap at the back end of this entry area. That way we're containing all of the urea on the main part of the actual centre V. When fitting a spinner or doing a changeover from one spinner to the next, the easiest way I find is to actually lift the spinner up and put it on the rest. Means you can hold it up there comfortably. Feed the hole over the thread. Just line it up, a bit too far. Hold it up far enough, and then grab the washer and the nut and place it on the actual threaded device on the bottom. It's a 36mm spanner or a shifter you'll need to actually engage then the spinners, and there is a special flat section that the spinner needs to line up with. It's just a matter of rocking it until you actually find that connection point, which feels like there, that's it. And then you can actually tighten the spinner up and make sure it's actually pulled up nice and firm. And in this case, before I fitted the spinner, I actually slipped the rubber boot up on the spindle shaft. And now what I'll do is I'll actually distort the rubber past the fins and then just wind it down onto the top of the spinner so that it's all flush. Check it's tight once again. That's all that needs to be done. Once the fin is in place, then you can actually replace or move the boot back down to its normal operating position. Just flick it past the fins, and then I find the easiest way is just to turn it one direction or the other until it actually comes down and just sits flush with the top of the spinner. Just rotate the spinner in the direction it's going to run, to make sure it's all running freely. Job's done. If you need to actually change the spinners from the general purpose spinner to the widespread or vice versa, what you need is a 36mm spanner or a large shifter, and simply grabbing the fin and the spanner on the central nut, just simply undo the nylock nut to a point where you can actually then undo it by hand. Before I undo it totally, I actually give the spinner a bit of a rock to get it off its alignment mechanism, and there's a stop at the very back, or a resting shelf, so if I actually hold the back end of the spinner and the front end of the spinner is actually on the rest, I can then remove the nut safely, then just drop it down at an angle and take the fin off. Take the spinner off. With the spinner off, you'll actually see the rubber boot. I find again, before actually fitting the new spinner, the best thing is to actually lift that boot up out of the way just by rotating it up to the boss of the bearings, and then you're ready to actually fit the spinner again.